we do so many things wrong or make mistakes in our life,
Okay.
and we call ourselves stupid or you're an idiot. But how about we show ourselves some love, some compassion, and how about we tell ourselves that actually we can do things that are difficult? Because if you look back on your life, you will see enough evidence that you have achieved hard things. So that's the first thing. I think this is a great question, and especially for me, I experienced a lot of pain early in my life, and I told myself, how can I use this pain to serve the world? So for example,
Use the pen to serve the world.
to serve the world.
Okay.
So I'll give you an example. I grew up with experiencing homelessness. So I didn't have a house for 3 years of my childhood. I experienced severe poverty. And as I've grown up, I have natural empathy for people who are in difficult situations. So instead of sometimes just telling them, think positive, I'm trying to understand their situation and then trying to help them. So that's maybe a great way to illustrate that I've taken this pain that I experienced in my life, which wasn't nice for me, but I've used it to create purpose. And if I hadn't experienced that pain, maybe I wouldn't even be writing these books.
Okay.
It's because of the pain, I would say that's the catalyst for me doing what I do now.
Okay, so today we are with Mr. Vex King. So you came to Thailand, and this is a very good opportunity for us, AmarinTV, to have a chance to talk with you. And today we will be discussing about your extremely popular books. That most of your fans around the world really like this book. So as we know, you have like Good Wife, Good Life, and also Healing is a New High,
Yep.
and also Things No One Taught Us About Love. And we can reveal that all the books have inspired and transformed people's life a lot around the world. So let's start with the very first book of your first book. It's Good Wife, Good Life.
Yeah.
Actually, we know, and I think most of your fans know, that there is a quotable line which is stating about the universe will match the wife you put out. Change your wife, change your life. So we would like to know about this quotable line. What recommendation do you have for people to cultivate a more positive energy for your life, for their life?
Yeah, so I think the first thing I would say is change your self-talk. So a lot of the time we talk to ourselves in a very negative way, and our life reflects the language that we use with ourselves.
Oh,
So try to be more positive about the way you speak to yourself. And the best way to remember this is just, if you're offering advice to a friend, like how would you speak to them? We do so many things wrong or make mistakes in our life,
Okay.
and we call ourselves stupid or you're an idiot. But how about we show ourselves some love, some compassion, and how about we tell ourselves that actually we can do things that are difficult? Because if you look back on your life, you will see enough evidence that you have achieved hard things. So that's the first thing. The second thing I would say is to reframe your negative thoughts. So if I said to you, you had a 10% chance of surviving or a 90% chance of dying, which one would make you feel more positive? Usually it's the first one,
yeah.
right? Because the first one focuses on survival. But both the probabilities are exactly the same, right? So if you think about that and you think about the way you speak to yourself, is if you reframe conversations or ideas and experiences in a way that makes you feel lighter and more inspired,
Okay.
then you will take more positive actions
Okay.
and you can create a more positive life for
So
yourself.
we somehow could say that we can start by ourselves.
Of
We can
course,
start by
yes.
talking ourselves in a different way that we
Yes.
used to talk to. I like the way that you mentioned about we know how to speak to our friends. So
Yes.
we need to choose that type of sentence to speak to ourselves as well.
Yeah,
Right.
because we're always gentle with our friends and caring. And, if they
And
come
why
to
don't we
you-
gentle to ourselves,
Yeah,
right?
and we're so harsh with ourselves. So we are actually the harshest critics of ourselves. It's not
Right.
someone else, it's us. And just one more thing I think I should add is,
Yeah.
if you are feeling negative, don't be too hard on yourself. don't push away the emotions, acknowledge the emotions. Too many
Okay.
times we try to push those emotions away, and I want you to think of it like a beach ball. So imagine a beach ball, the inflatable ball that you get in like the swimming pool. Imagine that's a negative emotion. Now if you try to push it away and imagine you're pushing it down on the water,
very difficult.
yeah, but then what happens eventually is you push it, you let go, and it flies back up. And that's what happens with negative emotions, is that if we try to hide them away, eventually they catch up with us and they'll be expressed as anger or some kind of pain.
Okay, very good illustration.
Thank you.
For this. And as you say, all the things that you just explained, we can somehow say that it's kind of a self-love, right?
Yes.
And also, which is going pretty clear and right to another quotable line in this book as well. They say, you say, not they say, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Self-love is not selfish.
Yeah.
You cannot truly love another until you know how to love yourself.
Yes.
That one.
Yes.
So I just want you to share about your personal experience that you want to tell us. How could you explore this sentence and convey it to the books?
Sure. So I think from a young age, we're taught to look after other people. And I
Okay.
think that's also very important in society. But we're taught to care about other people's feelings more than ourselves. So we go out of our way to try to please them. And eventually, if they don't show that same love back to us, we create some kind of anger, resentment, or hatred towards them. So because we're taught that self-love is selfish, we don't take enough time to love ourselves. But actually, self-love is really creating this deep acceptance of yourself. That's important, because how can you accept someone else in your life unless you accept yourself? When you accept yourself, you accept all your good traits, your positive traits,
Okay.
but you also accept the things that you're still working on. Once you learn to accept that thing about yourself, you then go out into the world, into your relationships, and you're able to accept those people at the same level that you've accepted yourself. So that's why actually we've got it the wrong way around. We need to love ourselves first, and that way we can love other people better.
Very clear answer. And it is again that we could say that we can start by ourselves as well.
Yes.
And about the self-love, I think somehow you also mentioned about the practice for self-love. How could we practice if we haven't done any kind of thing before?
Yeah, sure. There's so many different ways that you can love yourself. The first, most obvious way, I think for a lot of people, is just to take care of your needs. So many people are waiting for someone to come into their life to love them.
ครับ
But what we don't do is we don't show ourselves the same attention that we would show someone else. So I always say to people that if you want to attract a certain type of partner, do the things and be the person that you want your partner to be first. So do it for yourself first. Also, protect your energy. So loving yourself is also about being wary of the energy that you let into your life. So sometimes you need to keep boundaries, so keep people at a distance.
Okay.
But also, if there's a negative environment that doesn't serve you, doesn't make you feel joyful or inspired, remove yourself from that situation.
Okay.
Because everything that you're consuming is affecting your vibrational state.
I am now writing down all the things that you're telling,
Okay,
all the
amazing.
methods. Yeah, it is something that when we listen to, we know how to follow. And I think
Yeah.
it is very simple to try to practice. And at the end, we can achieve the self-love that we need for.
Yeah, and it's just, small changes in your life. They don't need to be massive changes, because the small changes eventually create those
Okay.
big changes. Think of it like a ship. A ship is leaving harbor, and if it continues to go in a straight line, it will reach this destination here. But if I make one change 1 degree that way, and I keep going straight, I end up in a different location. So it's always about creating the small changes that lead to a completely different destination.
Small changes lead to a bigger results.
Yes.
That we could say. Okay, we are talking a lot about the self-love. I think another thing that very important for people as well, and maybe it is a fundamental for us, is the self-acceptance that you also talk a lot in your book.
Sure.
Moving to another book, which is Healing is the New High,
Okay.
which is the book a lot of people like so much too. There is another quotable line that say, your pain is not a life sentence, it's a life lesson. So this is very encouraging. So I want to know, how could you turn the pain into the positive power, or even the people that they are experiencing the pain in their life? How could we change that into the positive power?
Yeah, I think this is a great question, and especially for me, I experienced a lot of pain early in my life, and I told myself, how can I use this pain to serve the world? So for example,
Use the pain to serve the world?
to serve the world.
Okay.
So I'll give you an example. I grew up with experiencing homelessness. So I didn't have a house for 3 years of my childhood. I experienced severe poverty. And as I've grown up, I have natural empathy for people who are in difficult situations. So instead of sometimes just telling them, think positive, I'm trying to understand their situation and then trying to help them. So that's maybe a great way to illustrate that I've taken this pain that I experienced in my life, which wasn't nice for me, but I've used it to create purpose. And if I hadn't experienced that pain, maybe I wouldn't even be writing these books.
Okay.
It's because of the pain, I would say that's the catalyst for me doing what I do now.
Okay, so it's like you use that pain to help other people.
Yes.
And you also understand how to help them because
Yes.
you used to be those people before.
Yeah,
Right.
and I think we can all do that. You know, we've not all gone through the same experiences, but we've all gone through the same emotions: heartbreak, grief, anxiety, doubt. We've all experienced those things, and that you can say those are our pain points.
And actually those emotions are the emotions that other people
Yeah,
feel as well, the same way.
Exactly.
We are human anyway.
exactly. So when they experience them emotions, we know how they feel because we've gone through it, and
Okay.
we also know what we did to come out of it, so we can guide and support them as well.
So this book is really help all types of people, for real. Okay, another quotable line that you say in this book, and people really like it so much. Healing is not about fixing yourself. It's about accepting yourself. So self-acceptance for us is very challenging process. What tips or methods do you have for truly practicing self-acceptance?
I think self-acceptance is probably one of the most difficult things for us
Yeah.
to do as human beings.
Yeah.
But one of the most important practices, I think, is, and this is very small, and again, you know, I always say that you don't have to make it too complicated. You don't have to try and do something too big. It's just every single day, look into the mirror, look into your eyes, and find one thing that you can appreciate about yourself.
Oh.
That's all it takes, is one single thing that you appreciate about yourself. And if you want to, you can even every 6 months write a letter to yourself and outline all your strengths, everything that's going well in your life, everything that you're trying to grow through, and just acknowledge it all. That's where self-acceptance starts. It's just accepting who you are and where you are.
Really nice. We can start practicing by just wake up,
Yes.
look at the mirror, and talk to ourselves.
Yeah, first thing in the morning, even if when you're brushing your teeth, you can look at yourself and just say, what's one thing that you deeply appreciate about yourself,
Okay.
and make it heartfelt.
And this is really similar to, I mean, the thoughts from other times as well. And that's they always say we can have a very good day by having a very good start in the morning
Exactly.
as well.
The start sets the tone for the rest of the day.
Yes.
Yes.
Very, very nice, very nice. Okay, let's move to the last book that we are talking today. What we will be discussing is things no one taught us about love. We talk about self-love, we talk about a good wife and everything already. Now we are talking about things no one taught us about love. So there is another quotable line that you say is, self-love is the greatest love of all. Why is the greatest love of all? Why? Why do you think it's the greatest?
The longest relationship we have is with ourselves. Right?
Oh.
So the person,
the
person that's never going to leave you is you.
Oh,
We
yes.
can't control when someone might leave us. You know, sometimes it might be that things don't work out. It might be that someone passes away. But the person that's guaranteed to stay with you throughout your lifetime is yourself. That's the most important relationship. So build that relationship first. And when you love yourself whole, you make every other relationship better. Think about it like this. When you feel complete within yourself, you're no longer looking for someone else to complete you, right? So you can love them exactly as they are. You can appreciate them. You're willing to understand them. But if you're based on fear and you want someone to complete you, someone to meet all your expectations, it's very hard for you to accept that person for who they are. It's very hard to show them unconditional love. So the greatest love of all time is always going to be self-love, because the greatest relationships are built on those individuals who practice deep self-love for themselves.
Very deep, and actually, I mean, it also can relate to the two books before
Sure.
as well. And I really like the way that you say the longest relationship in life is ourselves.
It is,
I mean,
yes.
in the inner of us.
Yes.
The thing is. Thank you so much. I think that's really explained really well. And another quotable lie that you mentioned in this book as well, and people really want you to elaborate.
Sure.
Which is, the most loving thing you can do for someone is to let them go. If they are not meant to stay. This is somehow, when we read, and especially for me as well when I read, I think it's somehow not easy to do. So do you have any suggestions? We know it's good to follow, but how could we realize when to let go and when to hold on?
This is probably one of the most frequently asked questions I get on social media.
Really?
When do I hold on? When do I let go? And you know, I can't give
I
that
heard there are a lot of people messaging you
all
on
the
Instagram.
all
in
the time
Instagram.
for relationship advice. That's how
really
to
tough.
write the book.
Yeah.
So they can make decisions themselves.
Okay.
But you know, I can't make the choice for people, but what I will say is you will know when it's time to leave, when you feel less like yourself, when you start to feel like your spirit is shrinking, when you start to lose that joy consistently, and also when you realize that you and your partner are not on the same path. For a relationship to work, it doesn't mean that you both have to be perfect individuals. It doesn't mean that you have to be both at the same place.
Yes.
But what it does mean is that you have to be both going in the same direction. You have to be looking the same way, and you have to be committed to making the relationship work. If only one person is putting in the effort and the other person isn't, that's no longer a relationship, because there's no two-way connection. Only one person is trying to make the relationship work.
Okay, so now we need to assess our feeling all the time.
Yes.
Whether we are still love ourselves or not.
Yeah.
And when it's come that we feel like we don't love ourselves, maybe it's time that we need to step into some of the actions that you
Yes.
say. Okay, and from all the books that you elaborate and that you explain to, is it possible for you to just summarize them into one powerful sentence as a gift to those on their journey to find happiness, healings, and love? So what sentence would you give to empower them to continue their life journey?
Okay, that's a really good question. I don't think I've ever been asked that. One sentence, I think healing and loving yourself deeply will help you create a life that you love deeply.
Oh, this is really deep. This is really meaningful.
So
Yeah.
healing and loving yourself deeply
Okay.
will help you create a life that you love deeply.
Have you ever written that sentence in your book?
I haven't, but maybe I will now.
Yeah, I think it's really powerful.
Yeah. Thank you so
I
much.
may post on Instagram later.
Yeah, you should post it.
Okay, I try to do that. That's very meaningful. And I think people can learn from that sentence, and somehow their life would be so much better with
Yeah.
that sentence. That sentence could somehow will be the guidance for their lives as well.
Sure.
So thank you so much today.
Thank
I think
you.
we
Thank you so
got all
much.
the answer, and
Thank you.
people also love all the answer and all the elaboration that you have explained. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Thank you. And welcome to Thailand.
Thank
Hope
you
you
so
come to
much.
Thailand again very
Thank
soon.
you.
Thank you. Good
Thank
Vex
you.
King.
Thank you so
ขอบคุณ
much.
ครับ
ขอบคุณครับ
ขอบคุณครับ
Thank you.